We as entrepreneurs speak a lot about implementation and strategy and the whole thing. And the next keynote we're having over here is from Marc Korthaus from SysEleven. They're really focusing on high performance implementation of scalable hosting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the things you're coming up with. Reality Bytes, the next keynote. Thanks.
Thanks. Hello, my name is Marc Korthaus. I'm the founder and CEO of SysEleven, which is a managed hosting provider. So from very strategic points, we heard the keynote before. This keynote or this speech is about what you can make better in detail on your website, which is probably something that you imagined for a hosting provider, or you didn't. But anyhow, here we go. So I would like to talk about conversion rate. For a lot of you, I guess it's the easiest thing to think about in conversion rate about I have an e-commerce system and somehow my checkout doesn't work every time. But to be honest, your website normally is a conversion engine. So what you're talking about with your stuff or with yourself, however, is how you could make a better work of your website and how could it work out for you better. So if you look at the next slide, you will see that 1 second of your loading time will have 7% less conversions. So what does it mean for you? The other numbers are quite interesting too, on the other hand, but 11% fewer page views perfectly fits sometimes. But what does 7% loss in conversions mean for you? I needed a calculator to calculate that you will lose up to a month's revenue if you don't fix it in time. So what it means, if you do up to 100,000 euro per day, you will lose 2.5 million per year. So who of you does more than 100,000 euro revenue per day? Okay, I guessed that, because it doesn't work this way. But if you do like 10,000 euro, which is much more likely, you probably end up losing 250,000 euro per year. So what you now learned is that if you don't fix a loss in conversion, you will probably end up having issues with your next investor and probably with some of your partners too. So what could you do if you see the next numbers? 40% of our customers will leave a website if it doesn't load within the first 3 seconds of loading time. This stands for itself, but a lot of websites have these problems. It's common for a lot of websites to not load within 3 seconds. We have like 50 e-commerce systems running on our infrastructure, and 2 of them are faster. So it's a problem nearly everyone has. So I focus today on how we could fix it. So this is a practical part. 33% of all mobile users expect their website to load even faster. That's a problem. I don't know who's connected with LTE from you. Who is it? Okay, there are some guys out there, I heard from Drossel.com. So you probably have the idea of your website should be faster on your mobile phone, and you expect it to be faster. You also need, this is wrong, so you will have problems regarding your SEO activities. It's not per se that you have problems the moment the site gets slower, but if your competitor is faster, it hurts you. So you also couldn't trust the CDN guys because what's more expensive than a cache, than not having a cache? It's a cache miss. So if an object or your whole site isn't within the CDN, so it has to get first from the provider itself, you have the problem that nobody will get the site in time, because first of all, the CDN has to grab it. So if you aren't very big, a CDN probably won't help with this. So don't trust the CDN guys. There are some trends I would like to talk to about, and this is about the average page load time. And if you see these figures, everything is getting slower by time. So you see that every year, the standard website, and this is from HTTP archive, so it's a pretty solid numbers. You see that most websites getting slower. But why? Why is everything getting slower? It's because every website is getting more and more objects on it. So you see today, this is from 2012, you see that we have at least on a normal website, whatever this is, by the way, you will have up to 100 objects and more. So if you don't have a very significant good bandwidth and latency in your local data center or wherever, and this isn't the case for all of us, but to be honest, the problem is not the data center, the problem is not latency, and the problem is not bandwidth. The problem is that there are too many items per page. So if you go for these numbers, 5%. This is 2012. I guess we now at least 105 items. So our websites are getting complex each day, I would like to say. So mobile users is a different trend. That's more about what people expect in using a mobile phone on your website. And how many are they? In this year, someone prognoses, in this case Morgan Stanley, prognoses that we have the same amount of mobile users in end of 2013 than we have desktop users. So the problem is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the front page issues I've mentioned, so I've mentioned the number of items per web page. These are front-end issues. And for mobile users, where we also have issues with battery life and the size of a display and with rendering times, this goes up to 79%. So we only have 3% left. What's good? So that's a problem too. These numbers are nice, and if you try using Google or have a look at strange loop networks, which do a pretty good job about numbers and figures, you probably know this. But the message here is another one. The message is that even if not all numbers you've recently seen here and the whole day and probably the last year, most of the numbers somehow will work for you. So if you try it, please advise yourself, go through the numbers and make a point out of it. What works best for you? Focus on numbers, measure numbers, and have your team running the numbers frequently. What I would like to do is, and since we are a very practical company, so we have issues every day. Every customer has issues every day. So what we have today is, I go to the office and my colleagues there have a lot of tickets with some issues about whatever. You know, whatever. one has really has issues with some technical discussion, and other ones have problems with how to proceed here and there. But this is something where what we do is we would like to have people having the better websites, the faster websites. So here are some very concrete tips about how you could fix things like I showed you. So first, you need a setup of tools. And please, whoever has questions about the tools, just drop me a line. Who of you ever tried using New Relic or App Dynamics? Okay, he's the one, and there, another one, and there. And have you ever tried using Why Slow? Great tool from Yahoo. Shows where you probably have some problems in your code. Firebug is a nice tool. Whoever visited Velocity Conference? Great show. Go there. In London next time, I guess. So, and whoever tried loading a site from his competitor besides the sound site, which is great if you're better, go to your investor and show him which loads faster, your site and the site of your competitor, direct competitor, preferably, which is faster. And go through all the tools. I will send you a complete list if you're interested. So, second one is there are a couple of, and we heard it today for a number of times, the Pareto principle. Who doesn't know what the Pareto principle works, or how it works? It's the 80-20 rule. So with 20% of your doing, you have 80% impact. And that applies nearly everywhere. So what you want to have is, how can I fast fix things? Because infrastructure or a web page optimization is only one part of my job as a founder. So first of all, I just mentioned it before, less objects means less requests, means your website will get more speedy by just reducing the number of items. Please just do it. You also can add gzip compression, which is that's an oldie. Nearly everyone knows about it, but nobody does it actually. And each item has an HTTP header, which allows the browser to cache an actual image or CSS or JavaScript file. So you should do this by now. Asynchronous JavaScripts are pretty important because normal browsers or today browsers just work out the whole JavaScript before anything else gets done rendering CSS and images. So if you have them running asynchronously, you will have a lot of impact in the rendering time. So because customer experience or user experience is what you would like to have better than your competitor. So try this. You should also try clean up the unnecessary JavaScript code. You can imagine how many JavaScripts you have on your website. How, buddy, you seem to be someone of the guys who just tried some of the tools. So do you know exactly how many JavaScripts you have in your start page?
Yes, it's also optimized per page.
Okay. So, but I guess you optimized it separately, right?
For every page.
For every page. Okay. He's a good one. So. Applause for him, I guess. So, on the other hand, CSS code is the same. And if you use CSS, and nearly everyone do it, just import it. Don't import it. Use the link command. So you also could do something about infrastructure. We are a managed hosting provider, so these are nearly something on our side. But if you have done the first step on the page before, you probably have less infrastructure running, or you have some more capacity running. Bandwidth and latency today, normally this is no pinpoint, but redundancy counts. 2 data centers probably is the best way to go. And DNS servers, so if DNS host or your website gets translated to IP numbers, so this should work pretty fast. And there are a couple of companies which have pretty good infrastructure on this too. So please think about SSDs, because they are 5 times more expensive, but 10 times faster. That's a good thing. Hardware load balancers could be a way to go, because they can SSL offload. Doesn't have to be the case, but probably sometimes it's a better way. If you do SEO, sometimes a proxy per country is something you would like to add. So we have a regional IP address for your website. So SEO is pretty boosted on this. And I don't even started with database optimization. The most important thing of all of these, so I'm sorry that it just counts in at the end, it's about caching. Everything should be cached on every layer. So first of all, the Linux file system caches all items which it frequently needs. So the same goes for the PHP code. The same goes for, if it's PHP, it could be also Java or Ruby or whatever. The database caches its hits, and nearly everywhere should be cached. So never underestimate caching. A CDN is nothing else than local caches. And please don't forget, if you use it with hardware, you always get the worst efficiency. Just make better software. So, what do you learn today? You learned it's not about performance in general, it's about user experience or customer experience. It's also that you should, it's a thing about how we work. So you should have a defined budget for each work you do, and make it a target for your team. Say, it's a target to have 2 seconds load time, whatever happens. Or at least the first header should be loaded within 1 second, or something like this. But make a target out of it, don't do it yourself, let your employees work for it. Start with the low-hanging fruits. I just have a couple of more, but I don't have any more time to talk about it. But use the 80-20 rule on it, or 20-80 rule. You also should be easy with the performance goals. Each new feature should have a performance goal. So if you don't add it per feature, so we have a new checkout, or we have this, or we have that, a new video, just go ahead and add. And it doesn't, don't allow to have it like more than 200 milliseconds loading time. Something like this. So very practical. Optimize, measure, be proud about what you've delivered. That's an important point, because you should go to your team and talk about what they've reached. And, do it again and keep delivering. I don't know whoever seen the mousepad of the Facebook guys. It's keep delivering on it, and I pretty liked it somehow. So think about this. It's the 13 months of money you will get if the conversion works. And it's not only about e-commerce, and it's up to 2.5 million for 100,000 euros. So maybe this is one point where you should today know why to do it. So we are SysEleven, we do hosting, and if someone is interested in what we do, just have a coffee with us.